why was Cheryl Mills granted immunity in the classified data investigation for Secretary Clinton?
The Department of Justice wrote a letter to Cheryl Mills's lawyer that gave her what's called active production immunity for the production of her laptop. So it's not personal immunity for her. It was the immunity was, we will not use, we the Department of Justice, directly against you anything we recover on this laptop. Fairly common tool in criminal investigations, but that's what it was. And the judgment was, the FBI's judgment was, we need to get to that laptop. We need to see what it is. This investigation's been going on for a year. And this was, in the negotiation, a tool that her lawyer asked for, that the Department of Justice granted so we could get the laptop.
Thanks. Was she then Secretary Clinton's lawyer in Secretary Clinton's interview with you, and is that irregular?
Our understanding was she was acting as a member of her legal team, not irregular, not the FBI's job to decide who can be in a voluntary interview. There are ethical canons that govern lawyers, but we don't police that. If it was a judicial proceeding, the judge might police who could be there representing an individual, but that's not something that we could do anything about in a voluntary interview.
Secretary Clinton has summarized to the public that you have said her statements in her interview and her statements to the public were truthful. Do you think that's accurate?
As an investigator, I kind of look at the world in an odd way. I never say I believe anybody or anything is truthful. I always ask, do I have evidence to establish it is untruthful or that I don't believe somebody? And so, as I said, when I testified about this for 5 hours in July, we did not develop evidence that led us to believe that any of the statements to us were untruthful.
Do you think that Cheryl Mills would have destroyed her laptop? And if so, why this negotiation as opposed to just asking for it by grand jury subpoena?
Well, it's a lawyer's laptop. So having done this for many, many years, a grand jury subpoena for a lawyer's laptop would likely entangle us in litigation over privilege for a very long time. And so by June of this year, I wanted that laptop. Our investigators wanted that laptop, and the best way to get it was through negotiation.
Do you think any laws were broken by Cheryl Mills?
We have no evidence to establish that she committed a crime.
Do you think that Secretary Clinton broke any laws related to classified data?
We have no evidence sufficient to justify a conclusion that she violated any of the statutes with respect to classified information.
Is there any distinction between that statement and saying that no prosecutor would bring charges, which is, I think, what you said in your public statements the day that you made your announcement?
Well, I think it's another way of looking at it. I think given the evidence in this case, I still think that no reasonable prosecutor would try to bring this case or bring this case.
Okay, thank you. Secretary Johnson, last week the Inspector General said that somewhere between 800 and 1,800 individuals were accidentally granted citizenship. Can you tell us the exact number?
The exact number is somewhere around, as we're looking into it, somewhere around 750. The Inspector General settled on this number of 858. As we look closer, not all 858 were actually granted citizenship.
Can you distinguish some of those categories inside the 750, and were any of them from special interest countries?
Not offhand. I can't give you that breakdown offhand. I suspect it is a knowable fact which we can provide you. I will say, Senator, that we have been reviewing all of these cases as we have been going through the process of converting the physical fingerprints to digital. And there is a process underway right now in an investigation to denaturalize a number of those who should not have been naturalized as a result of what occurred. And that's underway, and we're going to continue to do that.
Were any of them from Iran, Syria, or Libya?
I'd have to check. I don't know sitting here right now, sir.
Honest question, not a gotcha question. How would you not know that? Why would that not be something that's urgent to you to understand the categories under the 750?
It's a knowable fact. I can get you the information. Just sitting here right now, I don't have the list in front of me, and I don't want to be wrong.
Do you think any of them were terrorists?
I have no basis to believe that any of them were terrorist or suspected terrorist.
Director
We're going
Comey.
through the process now of investigating the cases. This is legacy matter that goes back to the 1990s, and we've been denaturalizing people as we go through this process.
But these were 750 people that were under deportation orders. So it would seem that the offensive-defensive form of the question earlier, is there any more important defense than knowing if any of those 750 people were terrorists or likely terrorists?
I agree with you.
What's the priority that would take precedence over
question,
that?
sir, and that's why we are going through this process right now to investigate each one of these cases using the resources we have.
But in the 11 days or whatever it's been since the IG made your department aware of the problem, you didn't think to ask if any were from Libya or Syria?
Senator, just sitting here right now, I cannot give you the answer to that question. It is an important question. Just sitting here right now, I cannot give you the answer to the question, and I don't want to be wrong.
Thank you. Director Comey, I think the IG said at least 2 of the then 858, I'll take Secretary Johnson's point at maybe 750, at least 2 of them had previously been referred to the FBI for possible terrorist linkages. Do you know anything about that?
I don't.
So when the IG reveals that to us, help Nebraskans understand how the executive branch works together. The IG says these people have been referred to the FBI. Your agencies are or aren't talking to each other. How can we explain that to our citizens?
Oh, your question was to me personally.
Yeah.
I will find out after this hearing. I'm highly confident people in our counterterrorism division have been talking to DHS to find out what's there and to look at it. It just hasn't been briefed to the director yet.
Thanks.
Correct.
The distinction between historic fingerprint records, and I know I'm at time, so this one may turn into one of yours by mail for later, but historic fingerprints versus digitized fingerprints, how long has that process been going on, and when will it be completed?
It will be, I expect it to be completed in the next 9 months. It's been going on for quite some time, possibly years, sir.
Before we had digitized fingerprints, though, we still had a process to decide who to let into the country and not. So that's not a sufficient excuse for what went wrong here, right? What happened to grant these 750 people who were supposed to be deported? How were they granted citizenship? What was the mistake?
They were granted citizenship at a time when the conversion was not complete. Therefore, the persons examining the records did not have the old fingerprints from the paper record, and that's what happened.
Thanks. Thanks to
Senator
all 3 of you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Gentlemen, thank you for